a short passage from an important Vedanta text, which is called Vivekacudamani. This is by Shankaracharya. This is the very beginning of the teaching, where he points out something before the teaching actually begins. Okay, so he says like this. Vivekacudamani means the crest jewel of discrimination. It's a small book about what we call Viveka, how to cultivate the power of discriminative wisdom. Okay? This is the idea. So, Adi Shankaracharya is writing, it is hard for any living creature to achieve birth in a human form. Strength of body and will are even harder to obtain. Purity is harder still. Harder even than this is the desire to live a spiritual life, which means it's more and more and more rare. That's the meaning. Okay? This is what he's saying. Very difficult to attain. Then even more difficult to attain. Then even more difficult to attain. Like this. And an understanding of the scriptures is hardest of all. As for the discrimination between the Atman or the self and the non-Atman or the non-self, direct perception of the Atman itself, direct cognition, direct knowledge of the self, continuous union with Brahman, or ultimate reality, and final liberation, this cannot be obtained except through the merits of 100 billion well-lived incarnations. So, the yogis, this is called yogic marketing. So, if you read Swami Sivananda's teachings, many times he will teach about a certain virtue, and then he will try to make you inspired about the virtue by telling you this is extremely difficult to attain. This is how he will say. He will say it is easy to uproot mountains, it is easy to do this and to do that, and then he tells you it's difficult to do this. Right? And you think, well, he's trying to convince me that I shouldn't do it? It's the other way around. The idea is that the spiritual path is full of challenges, but challenges are a source of inspiration. So, Adi Shankaracharya is speaking to spiritual aspirants. And you see, for example, how do you know a yogic crowd? Usually, if you speak to people about suffering, they become, you lose everyone. But when you speak to yogis about suffering, everyone is smiling, their eyes are open, right? It's like you just told them you are going to distribute cakes after this, right? And you're talking about, old age and suffering, and everything is impermanent, and everyone is so joyful. So, and this is exactly what Adi Shankaracharya is saying. He's saying to have the mindset that is tuned to freedom, karmically, is extremely, extremely rare. Why is he saying this? So we understand that the impressions, the mental forces that brought us to the spiritual path must be recognized and well protected. Because these are the things which are extremely rare, karmically. Okay, once we recognize it, we understand what needs to be cherished, what needs to be supported. Our priorities are well understood. Okay, otherwise, we will not properly understand what we have. Okay? This is the idea. So this is why he's saying this. So he's saying this not that we think, oh my God, this is so, right, well lived, 100 billions of lifetimes. I said, wow, right? So the meaning is, what he wants to say is, the fact that we have spiritual aspiration means we have been practicing so many lives. The effort that the current results that we have, that our mind is inclined to spiritual teachings and practices, means we have been on this path so long. Therefore, he says, protect what you attained. This is the idea. You are standing on effort that you have done many, many, many lives. You are not, it's not chance that you are here. Lots of merits have been created in a past which we don't remember. Okay? Once we understand this, we understand this has to be maintained. Okay? This is why he's saying this. Now he says, only through God's grace may we obtain those three rarest advantages. Okay, so he says now there are three most rare advantages. We can attain them only through grace. God's grace. Human birth, right? For example, if you think, so there are so many humans, how can it be rare? Well, look, just in this ashram, the number of ants are far exceeding all humans on the planet. Just in this ashram. And these are just ants. Right? What about other creatures? So humans are way outnumbered. We are very rare on this planet. Even though we are 9 billion people, or whatever it is, what is 9 billion people for insects? You see? 9 billion is a small neighborhood. Right? So the idea is that if you look at other types of beings, right, you can say, and this is not only that, yogis speak about a mineral kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, so many animals, human kingdom, then celestial, so many types of beings. So how many are humans? Very few. Okay, so therefore he says, these are the three rarest advantages that we attain only through God's grace. What are they? Human birth, the longing for liberation, which means we have a spiritual yearning. We yearn to progress spiritually. Okay? To yearn to progress spiritually means our mind is already seeing something which is transcendent to this world. Okay? It's something that we need to learn to appreciate. We recognize something which is not in this world. This is the meaning of spiritual aspiration. Something which is not worldly. And this is something which is so strong that we spend so much energy on this, and you cannot even see it. Okay, so this is called desire for liberation. We desire something which is not limited. We may not understand that this is what we are desiring, but this is why we are attracted to spiritual teachings and spiritual practices. Okay, it's the desire for the transcendent. It's called desire for liberation. And then, discipleship to an illumined teacher. So, to be connected to a living lineage, a lineage in which we receive teachings which are alive. What does it mean alive? So, spiritual teachings are not merely intellectual teachings. These are not teachings that we receive from books. Spiritual teachings are primarily given, Swami Sivananda says, by what he calls Shakti Sanchar. Shakti Sanchar means transmission. He says spiritual knowledge is a matter of Shakti Sanchar, a passing of power from one to another, a spiritual power. This spiritual power, Swami says, comes from, he says it's a heart-to-heart transmission. It's a state of being that awakens another state of being. So the idea is that a living teaching means that the words are not just words, but the words are filled with the divine presence in them. And this we can get only by being connected to a lineage. The yogis are very clear about it. So the idea is, just like we have a physical body, and our physical body doesn't pop up by itself, right? It also doesn't come from, how do you call those birds with the big...
Stork.
Huh?
Stork.
How?
Stork.
Stork?
Yes.
Okay. I never knew that it's called a stork. So those birds that are legendary to bring babies. Right? So they don't come from storks, right? So we need two parents. In the same way, the yogis say spiritual knowledge comes only from a teacher, just in the same way. Just as bodies don't pop up, spiritual realizations don't pop up. They come from a lineage. This is the source. So therefore, Adi Shankaracharya says, to receive a connection to a living lineage is the grace of God, nothing else. Why? It means that God wants us to be in a place to reach Him. That's the meaning. That's the idea. So this is what Adi Shankaracharya, there are three rarest advantages that we can have. Human birth, evidently we have, right? So the cats among us don't understand what we're saying. So all those that understand, we have a human birth. Then, a desire for liberation. Evidently we have it at least to some extent because we are here. And it's 9:24 at night, right? And we are listening to Adi Shankaracharya's Vivekacudamani. Right? It means that we must have lots of impressions for this. You understand? Otherwise, we would totally log out. Right? We would be, totally not understanding what's going on here. Right? Or even if we don't completely understand, we feel, oh, there's something nice here. So I don't clearly understand what's going on here. People look very strange, and cats are coming to satsang. Something is strange, but although it's a very strange environment, like a different planet, it's really nice. So this means that we should just keep coming, that's all, and everything will be okay. So the idea is that this is the desire for liberation. When we feel this is something is special, nice here, see? It means we resonate. Resonate means we already know it. That's the meaning. Okay? And then we have the grace of living teachings, which means we receive teachings that can actually awaken us spiritually. This is the meaning. Okay? And remove us from the suffering, which is all-pervading. So he says these are the three rarest advantages that souls can have. Human birth, longing for liberation, and being connected to a living lineage. Okay? It says only through God's grace, no other way to attain it. This is the idea. So why is this so important? Because if we recognize that we have some of these things, then it says these are the rarest advantages that souls can have. Therefore, we should be very thankful, but thankful not theoretically, means protect it. Protect it and increase it. Invest in it. This is what is needed to be there. So Swami Shivananda says, your spiritual impressions are your greatest treasure, more than any money or any possession. He says these things are going with you from life to life and guiding you in the right direction. So these are your greatest treasures. Protect them. This is what we need to invest in the most. That's the meaning. Okay? So what we are going to do, just beginning, just few minutes more today, because it is kind of late. And so we are going to see those three things. How the yogis explain human birth. What is special about a human birth? This we need to understand. Why is it so advantageous? Okay? And what does it mean that, what is a desire for liberation? And what is the teacher? What is the lineage? We need to understand those three things. Okay? As the yogis explain them. So first of all, the yogis explain something very important about what we call births. So, what is the difference between beings? The yogic teaching, the Vedantic teaching, is that there is one self, which means on the level of the knowing awareness, we are all one. There is no diversity on the level of the knowing consciousness. Okay? The analogy that the yogis give, if you take the sun, one sun is reflecting in so many water, reflecting mediums, etc. So you have many, many reflections, but you have one actual source of light. The reflection's light is not independent. It is the light of the sun, reflecting. So actually, if you look at all these, like let's say you look in the daytime at the ocean, and on the waves you see the glitter of the sun, right? So you see so many reflections. But actually, all the glittering that you see all over the ocean is one light, not many. In the same way, the yogis say, the awareness we see in all conscious beings is one light. That's called the Atman. So the light of awareness that is shining within our own mind, and the light of awareness that is illumining all living beings, not only humans, all living beings, is one. So now comes the question. If we are all one, there's only one self, then in what sense are we different? What is the advantage of a human birth? You see, because if the self is one, right, the self of a human and the self of a cat is one self, right? So there is only one reality. So in what way are beings different? This is the question. And Swami Shivananda gives the following example. He says, there is one electricity, but there are many types of bulbs, right? There is a 20 watts bulb, 40 watts bulb, 60 watts bulb, 80 watts bulb, 100 watts bulb, 1000 watts bulb, etc. So, but one electricity in all of them. You understand? So the way they give off light is different. But one electricity operates in all of them. So the idea is that the way they reveal electricity is different. Although one electricity is in all of them, the capacity of revealing the electricity is varied in the various bulbs. Another example, there is one body of water called the ocean. But are all waves the same? Waves are not the same. So waves, although all the waves are one with the water, they are not the same because they are different in how much water they carry, how much power, right? So all the waves have the same essence, they are all water, they are all the ocean, but waves are very different. In how much, right? If you look at a small 2-foot wave, or God forbid you are looking at a 20-foot wave, right? If you happen to be looking at such a wave, right? Totally different, right? The power that you feel from a big wave is very different. So, in this way, the yogis say, although there is one self, one consciousness shining in all of us, all beings in creation, the vessels in which consciousness is being revealed are revealing consciousness to varying degrees. And this is the mind and the body. The mind and the body are called the upadis, or the limiting agents. The mind and the body of various beings are revealing consciousness to different extents, right? For example, when a cat is really interested to tell you something in the morning, you know, like how are they doing? They can only say meow. So it's very, very limited, you see, not much expression. Whereas a human being, first of all, has emotions, which are so, they have so many nuances of intelligence, thoughts, and such a power of expression called speech. Right? So the expression, the revelation of consciousness is extremely refined in a human being. So complex. Okay? So the idea is that as human beings, our mind and body has a great capacity of revealing the intelligence, which is consciousness. Okay? So we will stop here because we are reaching the sweet zone where everyone is fully accepting what you're saying without any resistance at all. So. Right? So if people are too accepting, it means it's time to stop. So we will stop. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om Bolo Satguru Sivananda Maharaj Ki Jai. Swami Vishnu Devananda Maharaj Ki Jai.